Strongman! Oh, you loser! My stock is up 32% in the last 5 days! How much is VT up in the last 5 days? Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance. We gotta talk about Fubo TV Incorporated, ticker symbol FUBO, which is up 32% in the last 5 days. It's up 9.49% in the last day. And it's only down 70% in the last 5 years. So why are we talking about Fubo, which is live streaming for sports ball? Well, of course, because Jeremy Lefebvre is a huge fan of Fubo. And apparently he made this video 2 hours ago where he talks about Fubo. Will make me feel a next level comfort in Fubo stock, okay? Okay, now? So what happened with Fubo? Why is the stock only down 70% in the last 5 years? Why is it up 9%? They just released earnings and they exceeded expectations. Fubo exceeded guidance in Q3 of 2023 with $313 million total revenue, up 43% year over year. Now that is strong revenue. That is good. 43% growth is good. Tattooed Chef also had 43% growth, okay? And they had a record 1.477 million paid subscribers in North America who like to watch sports ball. Excuse me. Now let's go ahead and dive into the financials, okay? So, we already talked about the subscriber growth. We talked about the revenue growth. Subscription revenue grew by 43%. Advertising revenue, which is a smaller part of the revenue, grew by 34%. They achieved a gross margin of 6%. Wow, ladies and gentlemen. So basically, if you forgot, I know Jeremy knows this because he's a master of generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP. Obviously, it's like the GAAP, basically. But the gross margin is your profit at the top of the income statement. Okay, there are many expenses that come after your gross margin. Let me remind you that a gross margin of 6% is god-awful trash, okay? I don't care if their revenue went up 1 trillion %. If you never make money, you never make money, okay? Expanded average revenue per user by 17% year over year. So they're growing their revenues, they're adding a bunch of new subscribers. But the revenue per user isn't growing nearly as fast. Could be, I don't know, whatever the reason is. They're not growing their revenue per user as fast, nearly as fast as the actual revenue. So a lot of their growth is coming from subscriber growth. And if that ever peaks out, which in a highly competitive industry of sports ball streaming, at some point it's going to, then this stock will probably really get wrecked, but we'll see. Okay? They cut some subscriber-related expenses. Good job, Fubo. And they achieved a year-over-year improvement in net loss of $21 million. So they improved their net loss. And they improved $43 million improvement in cash used in operating activities. What does this tell you? This tells you that they are losing money on the accrual basis of accounting and on the cash basis. This company is still ass, okay? Let's dive into the numbers. So we can see that their revenue grew 43%, while their operating expenses only grew 23%, and their net loss was only $84 million on $320 million. What is that net loss margin? Well, let's do the math real quick. 84.4 divided by 320.9. They had a negative 26% profit margin, loss margin, which is actually right there. I don't know why I had to calculate that. But wow! But they grew their revenue by revenue. Woo! But they're doing okay. Okay, like at least the revenue part. What a freaking joke. Okay. So let's go down and look at the actual financial statements because that's where stuff really comes to light. Okay. So first of all, we can see subscription revenues and advertising are both growing very strongly. And then they have this other revenue category, which is basically insignificant. Look at their subscriber-related expenses versus their subscription revenue. So they say their gross margin is 6%. I think they're probably factoring in advertising revenue as well and then subtracting subscriber-related expenses. Because if you just compare subscription revenue to subscriber-related expenses, I don't think that's a 6% margin. I'm just saying that out loud, okay? But if you throw in the advertising, I guess that gives you a positive gross margin. But they're still losing money hand over fist, okay? Broadcasting and transmission, they spent a little bit less in these 3 months, in the last prior months. They spent a little bit more on sales and marketing, blah, 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 blah. But overall, they improved their operating loss to only negative 83 million. Wow, this is very impressive, okay? This thing is still a piece of trash. Weighted average shares outstanding. 292 versus 186. That's just a small increase in share count, ladies and gentlemen. That's nothing. That's an insignificant increase in shares. That's not a double. That's not a double up like Jeremy always says. That is insane. Oh my God. Look at that share growth. Oh my God. Wow. All right, let's look at their balance sheet. So cash went down, receivables went up a little bit. Okay, they're selling more stuff, so that makes sense. Where did that cash go? I wonder. Probably burned in operations. Prepaid sports rights up a little bit. Blah 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 blah. That'll become a future expense, just like these other things on here. Property, plant, equipment. They really didn't buy any new property. Restricted cash is the same. Intangible assets went down, probably due to amortization. Maybe a tiny goodwill impairment. This is an intangible asset. Now, this is something else that's a little concerning about Fubo. Okay, a huge part of their assets, half of their assets is goodwill. All goodwill is you buy another company for more than the fair value of its net assets. And if it turns out your acquisition turns out to be trash, that goodwill gets written down, and suddenly your balance sheet doesn't look so hot because this number could go down a lot very quickly. Go look at Teladoc, okay? If you look at their assets and subtract out goodwill, they have maybe 600 million, looks like what, million? Yeah, $600 million of assets on 887 million of liabilities. So they actually have, if you exclude goodwill, they have negative equity. Okay, this is not like a building. Okay, this is not like cash. This is not receivables. This is literally when you buy another company and it's a plug entry because you acquired another company for more than you spent more on the company than the assets of that company were valued at the time of the purchase on the market. Half of their assets are goodwill, okay? Hope that acquisition works out because if you look at this company from that basis, it ain't doing too hot, okay? Now, they still have a decent amount of cash, right? But they're also burning it very, very quickly. They're burning that cash very, very, very quickly. And if you compare their current assets of 381, they actually have a current ratio below 1. Now, a big part of that is deferred revenue. So overall, if you exclude deferred revenue, which is money paid in advance that you haven't earned yet, their current ratio is about 1. Okay, so they're probably not going to go bankrupt within a year, but if trends continue, this company will go bankrupt. Okay, this thing is ass. It's just hilarious. Anyway, all right. So once again, we see massive, insane share dilution: 292 and 209, from 202 or 209 to 292 in the course of 9 months. What is that dilution right there? Let's see, 292, very roughly. 40% share dilution in 9 months. It's the future, bro. Cash flows from operations. Let's see. Oh, they only burned $175 million from their operations in 9 months? Okay, 175 in 9 months. So if that trend continues, I'd say roughly about a year, they're almost going to be out of cash. I mean, they'll probably last a little bit longer than that, but oh my God, this company is a piece of trash. Seriously? What is this? Oh, where's all their cash coming from? Sale of common stock. Now, here's the thing. Okay, so they're underwater on their balance sheet if you exclude goodwill. Okay, we're now in a high interest rate environment. This is a cash burning company. If they don't turn things around quickly, something's going to happen. Okay, they're either going to have to issue more shares at a much reduced stock price, or they're going to have to pack on debt. And if they pack on debt, well, that's a death spiral because you got to pay high interest rates. If you issue shares, your stock gets diluted massively. Share price plunges, and you really can't raise that much money anyway because what are you going to get for issuing shares? $2.90, $2.97 a share? This is how companies die. Cash burning businesses in a high interest rate environment, are a ticking time bomb. When these notes mature, whenever they come due, and they have to be refinanced at higher rates, this company's their amazing profits are probably going to significantly go down. Okay, I mean, there's nothing about this company. This is a typical clown stock. Massive share increase, 40% in 9 months. Accumulated deficit, massive losses. See that increase? Massive freaking losses. Okay, this company is a bag of trash. Why Jeremy likes this? Well, I like sports ball, and it's the future, bro, and yeah. That's probably his reasoning for buying this stock. This, I mean, you don't even have to like do a lot of research into this stock. It's just a piece of shit. All right, you guys have a wonderful night. Cheers.